Welcome back to Our Sistas Corner podcast.
Where we're bridging the gap between literature and healing.
I'm Kenyatta.
And I'm Diamond. And this is episode 5. This is our official review of our book that we're reading this month. I'm trying to get it in the camera.
Yes.
War Girls by
Tochi Onyebuchi.
I know that's right. Yay! So we're about to jump into our review of this great body of work. How are you feeling?
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm excited. How are you?
Listen, I'm making it.
Okay.
You know my circumstances. What? I'm excited to get into the book. You know, we talked about in the last episode how this was my first sci-fi futuristic type of book, and I really enjoyed it.
It was
really good.
Yes, it was. I think it exceeded my expectations. Mm-hmm. The ending definitely exceeded my expectations because going through it, there was so much happening, so many moving parts. I was like, okay, we got to run this back a second. So once we got to the end, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes. Even though the ending was not what we expected, we hope that if you're watching this, you have read the book, but because there will be spoilers. So
definitely will be spoilers.
But it was not what I expected, but I think for the way that the story happened, it kind of added a good quality of showing love and sacrifice.
Definitely.
And jubilation. Even though that was our theme for this month. And we were trying to figure out why and how will that fit into this book. Because as we were reading, we was like, it's a little sad.
Very, very much so. But I think it tied into it perfectly. With jubilation being the theme, of course, jubilation is a feeling of great happiness and or triumph. And by the end of it, I think we were able to just find portions of the book that depicted jubilation.
Yes. Me specifically, just picking one off the top of my head, when they won the war, and Onyi, she was really trying to get used to civil life, and she was like, she explained in a part of the book where she was like, the city was going back to normal. And like people were going back to a time where it seemed like we hadn't even been at war, you know, and she couldn't find like her kind of balance in that. But it's like you could tell that she was happy that they had turned that leaf and they weren't at war anymore, even though she was figuring out where she fit. And it kind of felt like surreal, you know, in a way, but also... Go ahead. Did you have one as well? Because I have a second one. I don't want to steal yours if my second one is yours.
I was just thinking about personal triumph. Like when they were in battle and when they won certain battles in the war. What is another one? The personal triumphs. That makes me think about, well, specifically in battle, that's Onyi when she was... you know, being the demon of Biafra. I thought about Ife experiencing jubilation, being in Nigeria, and just the advancement of the technology. Like she was in her zone.
Yeah, just right at home.
Yes.
With her people.
Yes, and I love literally her people.
Yeah.
And I love that for her. I love that for her. Even though the circumstances were unfortunate, she was happy there.
Yeah, and I think another form of jubilation that I realized when they saw each other at the end, like even though Ife was having a different experience at the beginning, because you know she came back for revenge, but Onyi was in disbelief because you know she said that she thought that she seen her dismembered amongst the body. So I feel like that was a moment of triumph and joy for her, like my sister is alive, and then realizing like this bitch came to kill me.
Yes.
But yeah, so and then after that, her explaining to her why, you know, they ended up in that circumstance, which we'll get into in the review. And then them kind of just, you know, getting back on good terms before the end. And I think that was a great example of triumph as well. Yes. So we can get into our favorite quotes or sections of the book before we get into the final review.
Okay.
So did you have a favorite quote that you had from the book?
Yes, I did have a favorite quote, and one of them, it reads, "Peace is not given, it is taken. For so long, they have visited violence upon us. It never starts with machetes. It starts with shutting out the Igbo out of the government. Then it becomes giving all the good jobs to the Hausa and the Fulani and the Yoruba. Then we are accused of crimes we did not commit, called animals. Say we infest this country, then we become the reason the Sahara grows larger and more Nigeria turns to desert. We are blamed for the drought. We are blamed for the radiation. Then we are thrown in jail, and then we are murdered."
I remember that from at the end. That was
Ngozi.
Yeah, okay. The names, bear with us.
Yeah, there were so many beautiful names, and I made it my business to learn the names because so many times, it's a little off topic, but I was watching an interview, and sometimes when you have a name that is not common, people don't take the time to learn your name and kind of write it off as if it's not important or make jokes around it. Like I was watching The Breakfast Club, and they did an interview. They did an interview with the author Tochi Onyebuchi, and they kind of made a joke. Like Charlemagne was like, "Onye, scratch your booty" or something, and it's like, I know that it came from a joking place, but you know how that can be
disrespectful.
Yeah. I guess a person with a longer name, like,
it's still my name, boo. You gotta learn it. Respect. So I love that. I love when she gave that speech, because I remember Onye after that said that speech came from a place of, like, you were a child that was raised in a family that you talked about politics over dinner. So I remember that she really was passionate during that section of the book. That was when they got done with war, right before they were about to be finished with the war.
I think it was right before they were about to be finished.
Okay. The part that I liked was after the war. And Anya had the option she was told to kill Agu. She was told to kill him. She took him into the forest. She had a clear shot, and she couldn't. And I thought that was so beautiful, with her being known as like the monster, and everybody having this disposition that she was just like a heartless, senseless person, and all she knew how to do was kill. You saw her humanity in that moment, and her even realizing, like, even when it came down to Ify, when they when she was gonna kill Ify or whatever, at the end when she had the option to, she was like, "No more, I'm done killing," and I thought that was so beautiful. And he was confused on, like, what I'm supposed to do if I'm not at war, or how am I supposed to be just a regular boy. And he ended up saving her. Yeah, so it came full circle.
Yes, I told you Agu was my favorite character. I just loved how, I feel like he made the most out of the situation. Like, they were made to feel like they weren't human. Well, they partly weren't.
Yeah.
But they were made to just feel like their feelings didn't matter. You are strictly here for combat, nothing else. We don't need you to do anything else. And with him being into his hobbies, playing with the music, playing with the keyboard,
drawing, he drew a picture of her in the dirt. I was like, that's amazing.
Yes, that really shows that you are a person, and it humanized him.
Yeah.
So,
and even her giving him the option to learn how to play the piano and stuff like that. I know one of the sergeants, Chanilo, or I can't think of the sergeant. I'm gonna have to go in and look at the text. But she was the one that said, "Give him a hobby." So I was thinking, did she know that he used to be into music or something like that? Like, I don't know. But anywho,
or maybe they had done it so much, it was just nature. Like, okay, give him something to do. Was it?
But I thought that was
Chinoa?
Yeah,
something like that.
Chanello. She I just thought that part was so beautiful, and how he really brought out her humanity. What we discussed before, that I was like, he was like a child to her, like kind of like one of her children, and we'll discuss like their relationship dynamic on in the review. But yeah, I thought that was so beautiful.
Did you have a favorite character, or just person you gravitated more towards?
I think I liked Ify.
Okay.
But in a way, I kind of resonated with her being the little sister and being kind of naive.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Because you know where I'm going.
She was so naive, and even though she was, and I see a lot of myself in this, she was so innovative and so like futuristic to the point where at the beginning when she was saying, I hate being in school, I hate doing the work because I already know the answer, and not understanding that part of doing the work is the journey, rather than just getting straight to the answer. And just showing how she flourished when she ended up in her homeland environment. And unfortunately, with her naivety, she was taken advantage of by Darren and believed what he told her. Even if it was true, he weaponized that truth. Not understanding that, at the end, she saw that Anya made that decision to kill her family and not her because of she cared about her, and she was a child too. She didn't have a choice, but she made a choice to save you, so that matters. So I really liked her character.
Okay. And when I was thinking about it, I thought that would be your favorite character.
Why?
It's just, I think just personally, I gravitate towards understanding the older sister or the older person in it. Like, I understood both characters, but I really understood a lot of what Anyi was going through. And just knowing that, I knew Diamond's gonna like Ify.
And I thought that, I really liked how the author built their experiences to kind of like mirror each other. And we could like see how they both were continuing with life, doing their duties, and kind of like aligning with where they fit, but then also how they come together, especially with Ify and technology, and she getting saved by the government and then working for the government, you know what I'm saying? Like working with the government, closing it, and then Anya going back to war, and we seeing her element, and then how they both complement each other as sisters, even though they're not blood sisters. But yeah, I really liked her character.
Okay.
Well, we can jump into these questions and pretty much break down the book. So, so for this section, as we review the book, we do have a question log that we use. We're going to popcorn questions, go through different parts of the book, and kind of break down the parts that we liked, we didn't like, or we still had questions about. So, yeah. You want to go first, or I go first, or?
Yeah, I'll start us off.
Okay.
So, how does Onyebuchi use the setting to enhance the theme and the atmosphere of the story?
I feel like, I believe that the setting being in Africa, being futuristic for the technology, of course, and being in a war zone in Africa kind of fit the theme, because that's something that we associate with Africa in a way, continuously. And also, Africa being technology forward, because we get a lot of our minerals and
a lot of our resources
from Africa to build the tech that we have. So it's only right that they advance into the future in a whole different way, where we're able to augment people. So I thought that played a big part in it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree with what you said. I think when we think of Africa, we normally don't think of it as what it is, because of what we've learned here in America. Like, the idea that we have of it is completely distorted, or completely was distorted. But when we think about it, there are a lot of advancements going on, and I just feel like it made sense for the setting. Like, with the people being machines and going into space, having the access, and y'all are going to different colonies on Mars and stuff. So I think it was just very fitting for where we were headed.
I think another thing too, to look at it from the war aspect, unfortunately it has been like common in Africa for the different countries in Africa to go against each other. and those areas be plagued with war and with division and with trying to expand and decrease each other's territories and stuff like that. I feel like that, and of course, piggybacking off what you said, it goes from the depiction of what we know about Africa, because we'll never know what all the real reasons are, but their land continuously being at war with each other, those different countries being at war with each other and not being able to come to a common ground, even with colorism. Because we think about racism in the United States, they have a big thing with colorism over there. So even with seeing how Ify was being teased at the beginning about being lighter skinned, and then realizing that those people normally come from Nigeria, I thought that was interesting. So is it like some type of segregation type of thing that was going on in the future time? So I feel like that was interesting too, and how it went with the time. So okay, let's see. Okay, what is the significance of the title of the book? How do you think that ties with the title, the context of the book? War Girls.
I think the title is perfect for the book because the girls were at war with the world and with themselves.
16.
Like with the world and with themselves.
Yeah.
I think it tied perfectly into the book because they had to. That was their lifestyle. They literally had to be at war. They were the protectors of the community, of the tribe, and I just feel like the name was very fitting. That's what they had to be in that time to survive and to make it to the next phase of their lives.
True. And also what I realized too from the beginning, Anya, she chose to go to war. Because remember, her brother went, and then her mother sent for her to come back. Sent her aunt, her uncle, and something. And she was like, no, she wanted to go to war, and she decided to be a young lady at war, a young girl at war. And then after that, you end up being like one of the sergeants in over an all girl army. So it just kind of, I think the title kind of ties into an adapted lifestyle, and it becomes a reality for them. Like, it's not even a lifestyle choice now. It's like, we are the army, especially with them building a civilization with just women. So the story definitely goes into more about how both of them play a part in war in different ways. Because Ify, which is so funny, her coming from Nigeria and them having the tech forward technology, she creating the accent that she was a war, like Anya didn't even want her to be in war. Anya wanted, because at the beginning they talked about her getting her degree and her moving to the United States and furthering her career and something like that. But she literally developed an accent for herself to augment her own body because she was a full-blooded human, just so she could participate in war. And I thought that was so interesting that she decided to do that.
That's a brilliant mind. Because sometimes I think that goes into like knowing your place and knowing what you excel in. Like, she knew she wouldn't be good on the battlefield, but baby, behind the switchboard, I can get us right.
Yeah.
So I love that.
So I thought that was interesting that I see that ties with the title as far as War Girls and her just making a choice to go to war. I think as reading it was such a surprise to me, like both of their dispositions with war and battle, that they like. And I guess it's normal because that was normal life back. Well, I ain't gonna say back then. I'm sorry, like that's the past. But future tense, that was normal life for them. But it was just such a different. Who really wants to go to war?
Never at peace. Just always on the go, scavenging. Like that survival mindset. I think, you had to adapt that to survive, which is unfortunate because that's no way to live.
It's not. So I think that, the title definitely ties a lot much into their character development. So, yeah.
Okay. And, so moving on. what role does technology play in the world of war girls?
Everything.
Yes, there's a lot.
From I think that the most what I want to say, the most surprising thing to me was the fact that people were literally dying at war and they were bringing them back with tech. Like the fact that somebody cut off her arm, which happened to be another character, cut off her arm and they were able to like rebuild her with a whole new arm, and people are like functioning augmented people. And that was so crazy to me. And even the fact, like speaking on the accent too, you having an accent that's gives you the ability to see into everybody's body, see into their mind, see through their everything. That was crazy.
Like, what you mean you know my blood levels and my body temperature?
Girl, what? The tech was crazy. The tech within the book was definitely really like mind blowing to hear. Even with them, the mechs that they were in. I'm gonna tell you what. When I thought of the mechs, I was thinking of like let me think. If you've ever seen the movie, bear with me, with the blue people. Avatar. So from the movie Avatar, and I might be mixing this up, y'all, but just bear with me. I might be right. There's a part in the movie where the person is inside of a machine. Yes, it's the man who wasn't. He was a part of the army that was helping the people with the Avatar stuff or whatever. He was inside a machine, so he was a human inside of a machine fighting the Avatar.
Okay.
That's what it made me think about with the mechs. So she was just saying she was inside of a machine fighting the other man in his machine. Girl, I wanted it to be some pictures in this book so bad because I was trying to imagine what these things looked like all of the different advancements that they have. I was like, I gotta get up on my
I imagine
creativity.
like Transformers or something like that.
Yeah,
just huge machines. It's just, I was just mind blown by all of the technology and the just advancement of the entire world. What you mean y'all using, there are syringes filled with material that will just heal your body after combat. That was just so mind blowing to me.
The tech cocaine she was snorting or whatever.
Girl, yes.
Because I still was confused, like, what's wrong with it? What is it, a drug? Is it helpful? What's happening?
Getting into a pool of liquid and being able to just completely regenerate your body.
Nah, yeah. And Chinelo, when she was killed by the falling of the building, at that point she was already, passed and stuff like that. And she put her in the healing bath and told them to get the baby out the healing. I said, that's crazy. Then lied to them people talking about it's official army business and that she knew the secrets. But I said, that's man, when they were talking about it, I was just like, what is the healing bath? I'm just, like, okay. But
I just imagine it being like a metal tub full of like Freon or antifreeze or something. Because they're machines, so maybe you need a little WD-40 or something.
I don't know. But it was just so surprising because even with her coming back from war the second time and having to get another eye and just, girl,
it was a lot.
I'll be ready to go. You can just wrap this up, close the curtains for me.
And I think that really highlights just the effects of war and how it just really changes everything that you have going on. Like, not only physically, like we saw with Onyi, but mentally, even to how she had to adapt to the world and just the way she adapted to the world and war. Like, that became her life. She became the demon of Biafra.
Until she decided she didn't want to be. And I thought that was
powerful. That was powerful.
A big change for, just like, I'm just tired. And I think she asked Shanilo that at one point in the book, like, when do you know when you're tired of killing or when you're tired of doing this? And she was like, you just know. And it's kind of beautiful that it was her sister that she was like, I'm not going to kill you. You want me to kill you so bad, girl? I'm not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of Anye's perfect segue? Anye's and Ife's relationship.
I thought their relationship, I liked their dynamic. Initially, I thought it was one of, you know, the older sister taking care of the little sister, making sure that she goes to school, keeping her safe. I love that aspect. But later, as we got on into the book, I learned, you know, that it said recording save success.
It save every 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. And that's what may have popped up last time. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. So I learned later on in the book that Onyi actually murdered Ife's family when she was a baby. So learning that, I was floored. Like, girl, I didn't know that happened, because just from the beginning of the book, I thought they were blood.
Yeah.
I thought they were blood.
But you know what? Like, they never discussed the family dynamic. And that's something that I didn't even notice until we got to the point where the man was like, they took you from here. You know, you're from Nigeria. And she was like,
you a lie. You planted that memory. And he was like, we're not able to even do that.
No, Bookie, you from here.
I was mind blown.
But I think that, what do I think of their relationship? I think that their relationship was very beautiful. It kind of gave mother-daughter a little bit, if you think about the dynamic of somebody saving you, or choosing to save you and not kill you, even though they killed your family. But at the same time, it gave, how do I put this? It gave, I want to create something beautiful, even though I've created all of this destruction. It's like she chose a part of the world to be beautiful.
Like, I want to right my wrongs in this way.
Yeah. And she used her service to Ife as a way to kind of clean the slate for herself. Because I feel like that's why she went so hard and all that she did to even revenge her or get her back until she thought that, you know, she had passed away and stuff like that. But I think that Ife's relationship with Anya, though, was different because she looked up to her as my sister, my guardian, but strict and heartless and kind of cold, because, you know, at the beginning of the book she talked about how they really weren't as sentimental with each other when she was wanted her sister to understand, like, people were bullying her and like her sentiments of just dealing with what she was dealing with. I feel like their relationship showed the imbalance. But at the end, I think that it comes full circle when Ife realizes, you know, you really didn't have a choice. You had to kill my parents, but you did make the choice to save me and raise me and make sure I was good. It's messed up that you did kill my family, and I don't really forgive you. I'm angry about that. But just realizing, like, she didn't do it out of total malice. Like, she wasn't just out here killing people. Like, she was literally
like she was a
soldier.
kid herself.
Yeah, she was a soldier and she was a kid, and they had to do what they were told. But also them just getting into like an even ground at the end, like real sisters. I really wanted to see, I ain't gonna hold you, in the second book, I really wanted to see how their relationship would flourish. And the fact that Anya, like, decided to send Ife to space without her, it really, like, broke my heart. It broke my heart. It almost drew a few tears. Like, dang.
What you mean you got 2 weeks left?
Listen, it's just sad how, I think that's the only thing about the book that's truly, like, sad to me, is that Anya fought the whole book.
Yes.
But if we're honest, was she really fighting for peace and freedom? Or was she just fighting to be fighting? Because she never gave that. Even when the war ended, she was in disbelief. She didn't really know what to do with herself. So I don't feel like she was really fighting for peace. Chinilo was. I think Anya was fighting for revenge. And the man that cut her arm was Darren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like even after that, she had no problem with staying at war. Because when the war ended, she was like, "Oh, it's over with." Like,
well, all her people have died. You know,
yeah. But I think after she had a chance to stop and feel those emotions and slow down, that's when she realized like nothing good has come from this. Like, even I tried my best to not love anybody. I tried my best to not get attached to anybody. Once she did, she realized that I lost all those people from war.
Literally everyone.
Mm-hmm. Each person's relationship within this book was imbalanced. Ify to Onye, Agu to Onye, Darren to Ify. Like, on each side, each person had a different disposition of what this relationship means. Because I think at the beginning we see how the sibling dynamic was Onye was taking care of Ify knowing that's her sister, but they weren't really like close to each other in an emotional, sentimental way. And even to the point where I feel like Ify was a bit sheltered and Anya was a bit more out.
More experience in the world.
So, because like when they got split up, of course they were fighting to get back to each other, but I feel like their dynamic was kind of like provider to the person that needs me, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
And then Agu to Anya, of course he was a war person, a war-like vessel partner that she was blessed with to protect her and help her in battle, but he became more of like a child to her. But he saw himself as her shield. Like, I'm your person for war. Let me
protect you.
Let me protect
you.
My God. So I think that their dynamics were different. Darren with Ify, of course, if you've been there, you saw Ify was in love with him. And he was like, "This is my daughter," or "This is my subject." And then we find out he was faking the whole time. He just wanted to use her for the betterment of the country and the government. So and to get back at Onye. So it's like the relationship dynamics on each side were never balanced until the end part where they were fighting to get out of the war zone in Nigeria.
And unfortunately, I think that's just an effect of war. You are no longer doing something for your best interest. You're doing it for your entire country or whatever entity you're fighting for. So that might be why a lot of those relationship dynamics were unbalanced. And I didn't think about that until now, but most of them, pretty much all of them, were unbalanced until the end, like we saw.
Because even if we can even look like Chanilo, a lot of the girls were fighting. Chanilo and the girls in the army, they were fighting for peace. Anya was fighting because I'm here. She didn't really have it was, in my opinion, it wasn't really depicted that she was fighting for a new world or she just wanted revenge, and she liked the thrill. She talked about the thrill of being at war and how it felt at home to her.
That means, like, well, I think internally that means you have so much anger. You have so much anger, so much hostility. There's a lot that wasn't said. Because where did all this anger come from? And I know, they're in a war-stricken country, so of course losing your people in war plays a huge role in that. But Onyi had a level of anger that was almost out of this world. That's why she was a demon, because our homegirl was upset. Like, I don't know, whatever.
Childhood trauma coming to the surface.
Okay.
Somebody cut off my arm, I'm gonna be mad for the rest of my life.
It's on every time I see you.
Then you got my sister. That had to be settled.
Yes. Okay, so I'm glad you said that. So that makes me think about in the book, during war, prior to learning that Ify was with Darren, Onyi met Diorama. And that's Darren's sister. So when we learned that his sister, initially, she was the one that saved Onyi Like when the man came and stepped on her, and she
was
had
supposed to shoot her.
Yes, and she let her go. She didn't kill her. And then later on, months later in the war, she was murdered. I was so heartbroken to see that.
The sister?
Yeah, Diorama. She
got murdered.
She was murdered. Because Darren was looking for her. He was like, where's the fifth soldier? Because he knew that was his sister. And they kept trying to save face, but the entire time she was dead. So that was really heartbreaking to see. But I did love their relationship, Darren and Diorama. Like, he loved his sister. He was very family oriented, and she loved her brother. Like, that may have been the most balanced relationship dynamic in the book. Darren and Diorama.
Okay. Most significant challenges each character faced and how they overcame them.
Okay.
I think Anya was anger and grief.
Yeah.
And she overcame that with deciding that war wasn't the answer. Killing and war wasn't the answer to it.
After you killed everybody.
Yeah, after you killed everybody. But like her getting her sister back and realizing, also, not even that, her realizing like what was important in life. I think she never had an opportunity to really just be a young girl, a woman. She was always a soldier. She was always a sergeant and needed to be depended on. So she never really got close to people like that. But I think she realized after the war was over and she took account of everything that she lost, what was really important. And I feel like that helped her anger after getting her revenge, of course. But, that really helped her anger and her discontent with life.
And I think that's why she also was so protective of Ify, so she wouldn't have to experience what she did.
Ify, what you think about? Or Onye, or what you think?
No, I agree with Onye. Definitely anger and grief. I think one of the challenges that Ify had to overcome was just realizing that your history is not true. Like the history of you is inaccurate.
And how you see it.
Yeah.
Perception. Your perception of
her perception of herself was completely altered because, like we said, she didn't know that Onye had murdered her parents and saved her.
Because at the end, you all would have been murdered. They would have slayed the whole house. And I honestly think that Onye knew too that she couldn't tell her that. Because even coming from me, you would think that I'm lying to you, or you would think that I'm just telling you something to excuse what I did or whatever. But her actually seeing it from Darren and then hearing it from Onye, I think it came off better with the reasoning. Because she got to actually see it and then hear the reasons why. And it would have been opposite if Onye would have told her first.
Yeah, I think so.
Because she would have felt like she was a captive. Like, everything he said was true. And you stole me from my people. So,
I think one of the other challenges that Ify faced is education. Just being challenged academically. Like we said, in school, she was bored because she already knew the information. They weren't giving her new information. So ultimately being captured and then having a significant role in the Nigerian government, helping in the war, that was...
They're taking everything.
Yes. I think that was how she overcame just feeling... What am I trying to say? That's
like
how
she didn't belong.
Yeah, she felt... Yeah, okay, I'm glad you said that. I feel like she felt like she belonged there.
Time she was when she went to Nigeria, like they weren't really worried about the work either. They just wanted to accomplish things, and she realized, well, yeah, this is what I'm on. I want to create stuff and see the fruits of everything. It don't even matter about the work or whatever. So I think that she just I might go down there. I think that she just really ended up in the place that she was supposed to be. Tech wise.
Yes.
Now, values wise, I think that it was good the fact that she was in the care of Onye, because that built her character, and her love for different people, and her seeing the humanity in people. Because even with her and Darren going to the facility where they had the people who were captured from the place that her and Onye were from, she showed those children, she had sympathy and empathy for those children's experiences. And even to the point where she ended up fighting with one of them, where Darren was like, you can't trust them, and da. She was like, well, in her mind, she was saying this to herself, like, well, they're just like me, they come from where I come from. And I thought that was a great revealer of her character, and how even though she was a captive, she learned great values from being captured by Onye, and within her tribe and everything, her country. So,
okay. Were there any other significant challenges that you can think of? I just thought of one.
Go ahead.
I feel like Onye was challenged romantically. Like,
I was thinking that too, and I saw Chinilo's name. I was like, okay, yeah, she was kind of, in the LGBTQT plus. Hopefully that's right. I'll put it on the screen. But
yeah, she was definitely a part of the community. She I feel like she used her friendships to seek some type of romantic validation, because upon reading the book, I never viewed the friends romantically.
Me either.
When she kissed the first girl, I was shocked. And when
I had to double back and read again, like,
yeah,
did they just kiss?
Wait, what they just say? Yes.
I didn't get the cues.
I wasn't
all of it.
I wasn't expecting that either. I was genuinely surprised. But I think that comes from, I don't know, I feel like it comes from just being in a space with women only. I think it was bound to happen in one of the characters.
And then them building a society with just women. I was thinking, how was the society going to go forward? Who we were going to mate with? How we was going to have children? Was that a technology that we missed? I ain't hear it in there. I didn't see it in there, but I was thinking, like, if that, and when he asked her the question, like, what do you do with the boys? I sure was thinking, like, well,
they were kind of very dismissive of that. And I think that reflected on how they felt about the boys. Like, we don't care. They don't have a say. They will be soldiers in our army.
And you know what? That really goes back to also the relationship, that challenge, and her getting the relationship with Agu really changed her perspective on it, because she loved him. Yes. And she saw him as a child and not as a warrior. So,
Okay, so I think that brings us to our next question. Let's discuss the friendships among war girls.
Okay.
Well, we kind of briefly talked about them and how some of them were more romantic than we thought. Because when did
Ify have friends?
Not really. I think that's why she was so connected to Darren.
I was just gonna say Darren probably was her only her friend that she could. Well, she wanted him to be more than a friend, but he was like the only friend-ish person. Because the girls at school, she was saying, bullied her. She ain't had no friends, and I think Onye had friends as far as like war. And them understanding like that war experience and going through all of those trials and tribulations together, kind of like building trauma bonds in a way. But neither one of them had friends for like recreational reasons.
They said these were not recreational times. We dropping bombs over Baghdad.
But I think even at the end part, when they had that little brief segment where they weren't at war, like her friend set her up with Chinilo set her up with the apartment, and she still was kind of just like, she didn't really know what to do. I guess because she's been at war her whole life, but she didn't know what to do with herself. So I think that kind of shows how she couldn't really function right in her relationship. That's why the romantic relationships came out of left field, because I was like, girl, where did this come from?
I think it's hard to transition to a thriving mindset when you've been surviving for so long.
That's true. All right. I can't think of anything else as far as the friendships kind of going through my brain. Okay, how does the novel challenge gender roles?
Okay, I think we briefly touched on that as well. In War Girls, I believe that the women of War Girls did not value men in general. The only value they placed on men, on boys, were being soldiers in the war. The women took on the responsibility of protecting the community, leading the wars. It was predominantly woman ran. And I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I think that I feel like they created that rule out of trauma. They created that rule out of their experience because initially, when Anya first went to war, she was in the army with men. She was in like the regular civilization with men. So I think that them having those experiences and also just deciding that they would rather be around men, I think with her getting her arm cut off too, she just felt like men were more brutal and didn't deserve to be in power. And that kind of built upon the women wanted to create a safe space for themselves. So therefore, any men that ended up in their community kind of got reduced to the help. And their relationship with them just kind of built upon that, even with her not really having any respect for Darren, of course, him cutting her arm off, but just him as a general and just dealing with the disdain for him, especially when they were captured by them, when they stormed them at the beginning of the story. I just think that through her experiences, she developed this definition in her mind, or this depiction of men in her mind, and that was it. Yeah. And they have no problem with taking on the roles that we in America give to men. I just told y'all last week, send the men to war.
And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, but they had no problem with being the people going to war too and being over the men, So I think that it was a different thing to see. Also just seemed like the doctors were men and stuff like that. I think they just migrated the men into more alleviating roles.
So is that a world? What do you think of this world? Like, is that something?
That sound boring. That sound like a lot of work. I don't want to do all that work. I don't want to go to war. I don't want to build tech. Well, no.
You kind of Bobby should.
I kind of am, but I don't want to. That's solely be my job. I want to raise the children.
Yes.
I ain't gonna hold you. I really would be a stay-at-home mom at this level of my life. Girl, I need a break.
Very much traditional.
Listen, put me in the kitchen jars.
Okay, so we can go into our next question. What did you learn from War Girls, and how did your perspective on that issue change?
Think about the book as a whole in my head. So I feel like what I learned initially was when countries go to war, their entire lives have to change, and they have to shift their entire civilization to be able to maintain and continue life in that war. But war on home soil. I think in the United States, Lord forbid, but I think we haven't had that type of experience. So it was harder to really understand what it feels like, but just seeing how they operated, the children being soldiers and stuff like that.
Unfortunate.
That was something that, of course, we've seen in the news and we've seen in history, but it was something that just reading and learning about how they were maintaining in the book and just getting a new perspective of you got to do what you got to do. You know, from our standpoint, it's really sad and it shouldn't have to be that way and kids shouldn't have to do this and that. But when this is something that's a continuous thing in your land, it's what you got to do, you know? And I think that even with Anya being a child soldier and killing a lot of people and her having like a mental reality shift, we could see her as the monster, but learning about her character and seeing her transition to a more human side of herself as she took a step back from war, we realized that she was just adapting to her environment.
That's true.
I mean, we can look at her as the monster, well, the demon and everything like that, or as the character saw her as the demon, but she was literally just adapting to her environment and surviving. That was literally it. And I think that in a lot of situations, we can judge certain people's decisions and actions and not understanding because you don't have that same experience. So I think that was one thing that War Girls actually taught me. And I saw that and then learned a different perspective.
Okay. Well, for myself, I think there are many things that I learned from this, but the first thing I can just think of on the top is how your perspective changes. Like, you never know the entire story. And once you learn the entire story, I think it's okay for your perspective to change. Your perspective is based on the information that you have now, and when you receive more information, you're allowed to update or change that perspective.
Shift, pivot.
Yes.
Tech is such a yes. I think that what I learned from this book is that tech can go to it could go to a whole different level. And I think my perspective of that, from being a person, like, we know I'm the more techie of the duo, but I think I like tech advancements, like me even seeing other countries now, because I seen a TikTok the other day that talked about how China and Japan are so ahead in tech and stuff like that. But I think that I'm excited about that because I think that makes human life easier. But I feel like in this way, the tech is just beyond us. Okay, it's making me think we get disconnected from our humanity more when we have more tech, and we lose that sense of blood beings. Like, I don't even know, like human nature, we lose that, and we think that technology is helping us and progressing us, but we're literally desensitized.
That's true.
And we're really like transforming before our own eyes. We don't even see it. This is how we operate, how we take in information, and the tech can't go too far.
No, that's true.
I think that's my perspective change. Like, tech, it can definitely go too far. Like, I got a middle arm hanging off of me. We have gone.
A fake. Yeah.
We've gone too far.
One thing I did learn about this is that I realized living in America, I don't know anything. I am just so unaware of the things that have happened in other countries.
Or they can happen in the
yes,
country.
Because just learning that this was actually based, I listened to the author, and just learning that this was actually based on a true event in history, it just made me realize that my knowledge of the world is so limited. And I blame that on myself, for not knowing what to go look for, but also just where we live in the world. Just there's so much, and this goes back to what you said. There's so much going on in the United States. We're just so desensitized to everything, and there's so much happening here.
Our school system. Tell us the full damn story.
Yes.
Everybody's story.
So my perspective changed in the sense that I want to educate myself more on the history, of the countries in Africa, because there's a lot that I don't know. There's so much that I don't know and want to learn.
Yeah, I agree. It really, and I think with us being in the climate that we are in the world, and us literally seeing like the genocide and everything happening, I don't want to say, support who, who to support, because they might flag the video. But you can see how people, I feel like us in the United States, because we can only speak from this perspective, we're so desensitized and removed from it. And I think we talked about this last time with like advancement from technology, and also with that advancement not still putting us in person. We can definitely get like this very desensitized, very removed sense of mentality and how we live as a human, and not even be affected by things that are happening. And I think that this book showed that, because we could not relate to a lot of things, and there are so many people outside of the walls of the United States who can relate, who've had these type of things touch their soul. Of course, not the take part, but the war part, and having those experiences, and having to see your people go off to war, you go off to war, and having to live in this state of constant fight or flight. And the boogeyman being in your backyard, if you want to say it like that. But I think that really changed my perspective on, like you said, we are very uneducated on these matters, and it's important. It's so important to be aware of what's really happening, to not lose that sense of
humanity.
Yeah, that sense of humanity, and just caring, having empathy. And even if you can't do anything, sending your prayers, sending your dollars and funds in whatever type of way you can support. So it definitely brings that to light, peace to the world.
Yes. It just makes me more aware of how blessed we are. There are so many things that we could find wrong with America, or just so many things that are wrong. But just in the grand scheme of things, we have not had that experience, and
very blessed.
We are blessed to not be able to relate to something so tragic, because I couldn't imagine what it would be like waking up every day to go fight, to go put metal on, to go get my guns and go armor up, and just, that just takes a different mindset.
Yeah. And what's crazy, like, we could be complaining about, I gotta go to work, and there are people right now who would love to be able to get up and just, all I gotta do today is go to work. Yeah. I think that transitions us into our last question. Okay. What are your thoughts on the ending of the book?
It was unexpected. I enjoyed the ending of the book.
I did.
I think it was a great closing to it, and a great opening for the next book. But
if he takes space.
Yes. I was sad to see the ending, see what happened in the ending. Do we spoil it here?
I mean, hell.
Okay.
You watch this,
Spoiler.
you know too much. You still read it though. It's a good read.
It's a very good read. I was really sad to see Onyi, ultimately sacrifice her life for her sister, but I still think that was an ultimate sacrifice, and that was one of the greatest acts of love that I've witnessed in a book. So I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yes, I agree with you.
I said, what about you?
Oh, okay. I agree with you. I think that I too did not expect the book to end the way it ended. I too had the same questions as the driver. What was the driver's name that she was with? Was he a Chinese man?
The girl. Oh, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Zefron.
Yeah.
That was a woman.
Okay. Sorry.
No.
But I too had the same question that she had. You not going?
Mm-hmm.
Why you ain't? Well, we ain't figuring out how to get you on the flight, and then realizing like her saying to herself like, I'm sick. I went to rid through the Redlands, and I didn't have on my bodysuit, and I knew what it was gonna do. So her making that genuine sacrifice for her sister was so beautiful, but it was so sad because we see you guys go through all these trials and tribulations, uphill battles, all this time apart, and then now you have to, you're going to pass away. But then again, it may be a cliffhanger for the new book.
Oh my goodness.
That if they had some type of transformative like tech to keep her alive, I don't know. We gonna see her in the new book. But anyway, so was there anything else that you wanted to add on our review of War Girls? Before we give our rating of the book?
No, I just think this was a really good read, and I just really look forward to the second one. I think is it Rebel Girls?
I think so. Let me see. You can go ahead. But,
okay. No, I just really look forward to the sequel to this book.
Rebel Sisters.
Okay. Rebel Sisters.
Now that's what I'm saying now.
Tochi, don't play with us.
My girl probably still in the mix.
I hope so. That would be beautiful if Zefron pulled out a little bodysuit out of her.
Man,
put them back in the healing bath or
Give
something.
her a little vial and it repaired the cancer or fight the cancer or something.
But no, I thought this
we don't.
I thought this was a great story and I really enjoyed it. What about you?
Me too. I am excited to read more. Okay. I'm excited to read the sequel as well, just to see where it goes. And I'm excited to dive more into Afrofuturism.
Yes! I'm excited.
I'm normally on the side, I play on the sidewalk. I like my regular contemporary.
Stay where it's safe.
Listen, but I think that this was a wild ride. I would love to see this as a movie.
Yes, I was gonna tell you that this will be a great movie.
Any book that we've said should be a book a movie or a series has become a movie or a series. So
yes,
pick it up, get your check. We'll be waiting. We may have content like that coming soon. But I think that this would be great as a movie, and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give this book. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say that only because I'm sad that the ending was the ending. And I just wanted to see more. Okay. Now I might double back and say 5 out of 5 if my girl's still alive. But it's like a 4.5 out of 5.
No,
it was a great read.
I agree.
I can't say that there was any character that we needed to know more about. We knew what we were supposed to know, and we found out at the end why there was a gap in information. And I love that for you, Tochi.
Okay.
Yeah, Tochi. I love that for you, because some authors will leave us hanging and we don't know why we ain't never hear about that lady mama. Whole time she ain't had one.
Okay. So I would rate this book a 4 out of 5 as well.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed the book. Like you said, I agree with you. I didn't really care for the ending with, I really didn't care for the ending with Ify being sent to space, leaving Onyi behind, because that was I feel like we were headed into a new direction with their relationship. So I wanted to see more of them together in a positive light with the whole truth out. So, yeah. But outside of that, I thoroughly enjoyed this book.
Yeah, it was extremely good. Bravo to the author. You did your big one. But yeah, bravo to the author. You did an amazing job. We have enjoyed this read. And yes, let's move into our new read for the month of June. The month of friendship.
Yes.
Our theme for June is anxiety.
Yes. And I think that is a great feeling and theme to lead us into this new month, because we will be reading Fighting for Our Friendships by Danielle Bayard Jackson.
Yes.
I don't know if they can show.
I have to put a little spinny spin. But yeah. Yeah, this is it. Fighting for Our Friends. Look at me looking like the cover. I love it.
I thought it was so cute. And this book is called Fighting for Our Friendships, The Science and Art of Conflict and Connection in Women's Relationships. And I think this is the perfect read for us, because we talk so much about friendship and just growing as women in community. And it's actually one of our favorite things to talk about.
Yes, and this book is, okay, so when we chose our theme for June, we chose, as we've said in plenty of our episodes, this year our themes were the opposites a little bit, or in a different direction than the normal monthly themes of each year. Of course, June is about friendship, so we wanted to pick something that was opposite, and we chose anxiety. And of course, we saw Miss Danielle Jackson come across our timeline on Instagram, and she was talking about platforms that review books, or book talkers, or bookstagrammers, or whatever, that wanted to review her book. And we decided that, girl, you ain't got to send us a book. We're going to buy it.
We're going to buy it and read it. We're going to buy it and we're going to read
it. Listen, and we are so excited to get into it. As we stated, the cover is beautiful, and it's really talking about the dynamics of friendship. I kind of flipped through a little bit and saw some of the different parts. So I'm really excited.
It says, in this book, Jackson unpacks the latest research about women's cooperation and communication while sharing practical strategies to preserve and strengthen these relationships. Fighting for Our Friendships is one part textbook, one part handbook. As the readers, we will not only learn the latest research and what it has to say about the mechanics of women's friendship, but we'll walk away with real life solutions for the most common conflicts that arise in our platonic friendships.
We need the workbook, my girl.
Yes.
I have to look that up. I ain't seen that workbook. Okay.
Where was this book? No, she was saying this is it's based in research, so part of it's textbook and part of it's research, research.
I thought she was saying like it's you know how some people have a workbook where you can go chapter by chapter and write your own notes, your most important parts, or they have questions to reflect on the literature of what you read. So yeah,
now the moment she gets a workbook,
listen,
we're getting
it. I'm telling you now. Another thing about our selection of this book, we did not pick a genre for June. And we were kind of like up in the air, like, were we going to do a self-help book? Were we going to do a novel? Were we going to look at something in a new genre that we never read before? And we literally thought of that post and decided like, oh yeah, we got to read Homegirl book.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah. And with it being June, everything just aligns so perfectly. So we say we never miss with a book now. We always hit. So look, don't have me crying in here. Okay.
I don't think we have to try hard for that.
I've been good lately. The end of War Girls really got me. But
yes.
But I'm excited to read it. I think that this is going to be, anytime we read a self-help book, it have us by the neck.
Yeah,
listen. Ooh, I was gonna say something, but that would not be kind. But move. But it get us together, and I'm excited to read it. I'm excited to scratch.
Yes. Yes, I'm excited because I feel like in recent years, you and I have been just intentional about our lives and just about showing up in our friendships and being intentional about making those connections. So I am very curious to see what this book has to say and how we can continue to show up for ourselves and each other to be better friends.
Yeah,
because I needed this 10 years ago.
But you know, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. So
that's true.
Don't read me, Danielle. Now I'm doing my best. But yeah, so that is what we're reading for this month. If you would like to read with us, be sure to get your copy. We will leave a link below to the Amazon store where this one was purchased from. If you want to get it from your local bookstore or where you know, or Barnes and Noble or something like that, pick up her book and support another Black sister as we read about fighting for our friendships. We definitely need more genuine, healthy Black friendships amongst Black women, and we want to see that transformation happen in our community. And you saw it here. We're reading that this month, so read with us.
Yes. And I think we'll be sure to link the book.
It'll be below.
Okay.
The Amazon link for the book will be below. If you have somewhere else you want to get the book from, then you're gonna have to do a little extra research. But yeah, so then we move into our butterfly leggings segment.
Okay. Who do we have today?
As you guys know, we're gonna start directing y'all to our previous episodes because we ain't finna keep explaining what this letter is.
But I think it's important that we let them know. I'll explain for you guys.
Go ahead.
So in the butterfly letter segment, this is a segment of our show where we take a moment to just highlight someone or something that has just been helpful in your life. For example, there are products that we use, there are people in our lives, there are businesses, there are tools that have helped shape us and help make us better. And this is what this segment is for. When it comes to the people, sometimes we are so busy with our goals and focus on other things that we really don't take the time to appreciate ourselves and just acknowledge how far we've come. And so the butterfly segment is just that. The butterfly letter gives us a chance to just show appreciation to those people that sometimes don't realize that about themselves.
Yes.
So yes.
So this week's butterfly letter comes from Monte Gandhi. You did not say if you didn't want me to say your name, Monte, so I'm going to say it. Greetings and salutations. I'm writing this a butterfly note because I wanted to talk about some pretty cool people, places, and things. First, my mother's parentheses is they have been very supportive and moving, and it's cool. My A1 and I are getting closer too. Very proud of the woman she is becoming. Makes me happy to see them happy because then we can all laugh and stop with interruptions. Wouldn't be nothing without my cool tribe. They wouldn't be nothing without me either. You better toot your horn. So it's a good structure. Glad to do life with them. Also, just the few pals I have to keep me laughing through these unfamiliar times, places. I'm happy for a roof over my head and that my job is still standing. LOL. For now, because I work with some we're gonna cut that out because I didn't prove that before I got there. Grateful for Mother Earth. I too. Woo. And things. This is a good one. I'm thankful for the things I have and that I no longer have. The good, the bad, and non-stop magical feeling of being alive. Haha, I started having flashback of my memory. Wait.
I told you with this, we were going to have to clip this.
This is so funny.
I told you.
Cut some of this out.
You know what?
Hold up. Let me focus. This is what he said. Let me focus. It gets lonely during. Okay, I'm gonna skip that part. Okay, it gets lonely during the times of me getting myself together. So I'm understanding what self-love is because I'm spending a lot of time alone. Thanks for taking the time to read this butterfly letter. P.S. I hope this was how a butterfly letter is supposed to go. Stay cool, kids. JG. Monte. Shout out to Monte. There's
Thank
no
you so
Monte
much.
slander here on Our Sistas Corner. Monte is Kenyatta's brother.
Thank
His
you,
mothers would be
Monte.
his mom, Rashenda and Kenyatta. See, he acknowledged you. You say he don't acknowledge you as his mom.
That's my son. But thank you. We really appreciate you for sending in a butterfly letter. It means a lot. Just anytime someone takes some time out of their day to highlight someone else or themselves, you know, it's much appreciated.
Yes.
Because sometimes we don't get that.
And he hit all the stones.
Every last
Listen,
point.
my friends, my mama, my sister, and me. I would like to thank me. But that was our butterfly letter segment. We thank you guys for so much for listening to this point. Is there anything else you wanted to add on to this beautiful episode? This has been a funny episode.
It has. If you have enjoyed this segment, we would love for you to send in a butterfly letter. The butterfly letter will give us a chance to just highlight someone that is special to you. And yeah, that's what this community is all about, celebration and highlighting what we love about the people we love.
Even if you want to highlight yourself, we accept that as well.
Yes, I didn't think about that, but now
if you want to highlight yourself,
pop your shit.
Listen, switch your horn. We love to hear it. Okay. But yes, that is the end of our episode. We thank you so much for tuning in to Our Sistas Corner podcast.
And we will see you next time.
We will see you guys the next time. Bye.
So millennial.